beta where I had a point defense drone to use against my Stalker army, and it is extremely frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely. But it looks like these destructible rocks are going to go down very quickly with this decent-sized Terran army, and there are a good number of Banshees here. It looks like we've got about 5 Banshees in addition to 11 Marauders, which are pushing out along with the help of a couple Vikings, 7 Marines, and 1 Raven. And of course, that 1 Raven is going to be able to detect the, oh my goodness, some great Psystorms going down there, really doing some damage to those Banshees with them, softening them up a good amount. And the Zealots and Stalkers not really able to do enough damage.
I don't think WhiteRa has detection of those Banshees at this point. All his observers have been taken out.
He has one observer that's up by that island base, but for some reason he is not moving it into position. There actually is another one following up behind this Terran army, though, but unfortunately for him, there are not enough Stalkers to take on these Banshees right now.
Gonna need to get some good Psystorms off to stop this attack.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like these High Templars do not have enough energy, and he is going to morph them into an Archon last minute here. Those Banshees all very, very weakened up right now, but WhiteRa has lost a very significant portion of his economy. Fortunately, more Stalkers coming out right now, and that Archon just barely morphing in time so that he can get this last couple of Banshees taken out. Fortunately for WhiteRa, though, he does have his expansion up and running. So as you can see, he has already got decent mineral saturation with his probes. And Cloud, on the other hand, is just now putting his expansion up.
I'd like to see the income tab right now. Pull that up.
Absolutely. We'll get a look at that real quick. And both players actually looking pretty even right now. And WhiteRa is 100% aware of the expansion that Cloud is getting because he did have a proxy pylon right where he was going to try to build that command center.
Regardless, though, I think that was a pretty effective attack for Cloud. He took out a huge amount of WhiteRa's workers and the majority of his army, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely worth it for Cloud to push forward, and I think he really bought the time he needed to get his expansion up and running. And right now, Cloud is going to have to play a little bit of catch-up, although, I'm sorry, WhiteRa is going to have to play a little bit of catch-up, although you can see his income is actually still a little bit stronger than Cloud's, but he did take a bigger hit. If we look at the units lost tab there, we can see that he lost significantly more units as far as resources invested goes, so he is going to have a little bit of catching up to do as far as that goes. But in the meantime, it looks like Cloud continuing to put pressure on. He's only got 1 Banshee in the mix with his infantry army, but back at his base, it looks like he is starting to move into a little bit more infantry-heavy army, producing a couple more Banshees right now, but the primary force that he's got on the ground right now is going to be Marauders and Marines, and for some reason, he has not yet gotten up this expansion, just now moving that command center into place despite the fact that the pylon has been gone for a little bit, so he definitely lost himself some very valuable mining time on that.
This is kind of an interesting army composition. I don't think I've really seen too many Terran players go with the Bio Ball supported by the Banshees. Have you, Akaya?
No, this is definitely not something that I've seen much. Most people opt for, if they're going heavy Marauders and Marines, they'll get those Medivacs overhead instead because that allows you to really abuse Stimpak with those Medivacs overhead because not only do they heal very, very quickly, but you don't have to worry about micromanaging your medevacs as heavily as you had to manage those medics in StarCraft 1 because they were on the ground, and if you really wanted them to heal the units that were taking damage, you had to make sure that your medics were towards the front of your army, whereas the medevacs can just hang out over top. Oh, and a great using that feedback, just like you mentioned, they're taking away all the energy from that Banshee. It is not going to be able to cloak, so it's going to be easy pickings for that anti-air in the Protoss army. But it looks like WhiteRa is actually going to take a loss there, losing 1 pylon. He does have a Warp Prism overhead, and the Destructible Rock's still intact, although it looks like they actually lost about half of their HP with that really quick hit that Cloud just did.
Yeah, that feedback was very sexy. That's something that I really want to start using more in the future. We can see that it not only took all the energy away, but I think that Banshee is down to the red. It has just a few hit points left.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very potent ability, especially the more energy a unit has, obviously, the more potent it's going to be. And WhiteRa actually putting a pylon up at the high yield base. I'm not sure if this is an indication that he's planning on taking that base or if he just wants to have eyes on that base in case Cloud tries to take it. But either way, that will give him some good visibility on a key part of the map here. Meanwhile, back at the expansion for Cloud, it looks like he's throwing down a bunch of supply depots, trying to macro up here so that he can continue to produce. As you can see, he is supply blocked right now at 94 of 94, but it looks like he is actually getting a decent number of SCVs on this mineral line as his main is about mined out, and he's going to need to transfer some more SCVs over there very shortly and get that gas up and running as well. But looking at the unit combination right now for both players, it looks like there are still a few Banshees and a couple Vikings on the map, but The key thing for the Terran Army right now is they have switched into a little bit of Ghost Tech, and Ghost Tech using that EMP, especially against a ground-heavy force, where all the units pretty much have 100 hit points of shields or less. The EMP can be very, very deadly because it basically cuts their unit's life in half.
Yeah, especially against an army that's so heavy in HTs. If he can take out all the energy from those HTs, they're basically worthless, which is what we just saw there.
Yeah, he did get the energy for 1 HT, it looks like, but there are 2 that did not get touched, and a handful of the Zealots also got hit. I don't think this is going to be enough to take on this infantry army unless there are some really good Psystorm, and you can just see how deadly that Marauder Micro is.
He's warping in a few more for Psystorm.
Oh, great Psystorm there, weakening up a lot of those Marauders, and that really makes a big difference not having the Medivacs here now, because all of these units are going to remain damaged. They are not going to get healed, whereas if you would have a few Medivacs overhead, he could really do a lot more damage with these, because he wouldn't have to worry about losing these units so quickly. And you can just see that Marauder force got dominated by the combination of those Zealots, Archons, and a few Psystorms there. That was some really good control by WhiteRa.
Yeah, if WhiteRa is going to continue to go with so many HTs and then morphing them into Archons, the Ghosts are going to be even more important for Cloud. He needs to continue to just... Oh, wow, he got a DT in there. I didn't even realize that.
And it looks like that command center might die. Oh my goodness, what? Oh, barely. Cloud manages to get some SCVs over there to heal that thing just a little bit, but that DT is still on the loose in his base. He is frantically trying to heal that so that that command center does not burn down. That would be a huge loss, and trying to get an engineering bay up as well. And that Dark Templar just now has 3 kills, so apparently he didn't actually kill any of the SCVs at the expansion initially. He just completely tanked on the orbital command center that was down there and managed to take away most of his health. But it looks like it's getting a few more kills right now. He's got 9 kills on this Dark Templar, 10 kills. This Hero DT just doing a tremendous amount of damage.
Yeah, I definitely like the idea of just throwing 1 DT at somebody's expansion while their main army is attacking yours. They normally don't realize what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be absolutely lethal. And especially with the lower HP for SCVs in StarCraft 2, about halfway through the beta, they actually released a patch that made SCVs 45 HP instead of 60, which is what they were in StarCraft 1, and that made it so that DTs can one-shot SCVs, so you can lose your mineral line a lot quicker if you're a Terran player facing off against the DT in StarCraft 2, but managing to get 1 Raven and 1 Banshee over to take care of that DT threat, but there's already a lot of damage and another DT getting in there. I didn't get to see how many kills he got before he got taken down, but this orbital command is still really hurting for HP right now.
I think we might have actually just seen an EMP used by that Ghost right there to detect that DT. A lot of people don't realize that, you know, the EMP will actually uncloak units as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and using a great Psystorm there, taking out most of the Marines and actually getting the Ghost as well. And he's got a few more Zealots warping in up here. It looks like this may be lights out for Cloud. Yes, and he is going to GG right now. So some great play by WhiteRa once he lost that initial offensive that he went on and really getting counterattacked pretty heavy by Banshees. He was able to rally really well after losing a lot of his economy at his main base and just come back with the right tech at the right time, and he managed to take the win down. Any last notes, 13?
I just think the tech switch to HTs was pretty critical for WhiteRa there. He was able to take out that bio ball pretty easily and even feed back the Banshees when necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for watching this game, guys. We're going to be putting more games up, not only on the YouTube channel, but of course on the podcast. So if you've not checked out the podcast, I realize there's only 1 game on there right now, but like I said, we're going to be putting more up very, very soon. So keep an eye on that, especially after the game gets released. We're going to have a lot more high-quality players in the game, and so there will be a lot more casting material. Hopefully, we will have some very, very high-quality games to show you guys very shortly here. Anyways, look forward for StarCraft 2. In the release. Is coming out the 27th if I manage to get this video up before the 27th. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. GG.
GG.